Hello, everyone, and welcome to ProLine. It's week 2 of the college football season. I'm John Creighton in Las Vegas, joined by Jeff Sod, who runs Las Vegas Sports Services for the last 19 years, and Vegas oddsmaker Sean Hess. We're going to be taking a look at the upcoming games for the college football week 2 from a Las Vegas perspective. I want to remind everybody you can get all plays from Jeff, Jim Feist, Mr. Vegas, and more at jimfeist.com. This week, Jim Feist has an NFL high-end dog pound release for week 1. He was 10-5 with these exclusive plays. It's going to be $250 online. However, if you can get it before Friday, you can get it for $99 at jimfeist.com. Also, he was 2-0 with college football totals in week 1. He was 2-0 in the NFL preseason with high roller total eclipse. This is if you like to play totals. He has one also on the opening card for Sunday in the NFL. And Jeff Sod, going back to last season in college football, 77, 56, and 1 run. You have a couple of big plays up for this weekend as well.
Yeah, this week I'm going to have a 3-team college football package, including my underdog game of the month. You get all 3 for $39. Look for that at jimfleisch.com. Also, of course, every day we have plays, baseball, college football, NFL. Just go to jimfleisch.com, look for LVSS, and you get plays every day.
Okay, let's get into our first game here. We've got a Friday night college football game as Pittsburgh is at Boston College. You got a road favorite here. Pitt are about 4.5 points. Here's a Pitt team that a year ago squeaked out a winning record like BC, 7-6, but they weren't covering numbers 5-7-1 against the spread. They're only 3-5 in the AC. They like to play totals. Pitt was 7-3 under the total last year. They come up that win over Delaware, 62-0. But a new quarterback here for the Panthers. This is an offense that really wasn't that productive last year. They ranked 81st in scoring. They ranked 102nd in rushing the football and 59th in passing the football. So, Sean, here we have the first road game for the Panthers. How do you see this one?
Well, first of all, this is not a game we'd probably be talking about if it wasn't for Friday night, because this is the only game that's out there. It's an ESPN game, Pittsburgh on the road at Spore, as you mentioned, John. And both of these teams, however, looked very good last week. Pittsburgh coming off a 62-0 shellacking of Delaware as a home favorite at 24. But, hey, the Blue Hens, didn't they have Joe Flacco? Didn't they play for them at one time? So they must have some credibility. Anyway, that's Pitt's largest margin of victory in 37 years. In fact, you got to go back to 1977 before they did anything like that. And obviously with a score like that, they out-yarded them 506-71. That's just brutal. Pitt now in the Coastal Division of the ACC. I think they went over there around 20-12. And Boston College in the Atlantic Division, so it's a conference game. No recent history between these teams. They last played in 2004. Pittsburgh won their last bowl game last year versus Bowling Green as a 6.5-point dog. I always tend to look at that, see if they end the season on any kind of momentum. But you were right, John, about this other thing. They're just 4-7-1 against the house. In 2013, they're bad against the point spread. They do have most of their rushers back and their top receiver returns, but like you said, the quarterback is gone. Head coach Paul Christ, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He's in his 3rd year. And Boston College, they beat UMass last week, 30-7 as a road favorite of 17. They outscored UMass 24-7 in the second half to get that covered. They didn't look all that great in the first half. And head coach Steve, and I'm not sure I'm pronouncing this right, Adazio, I guess, in his 2nd year as a head coach. And Boston College last year, 7-5 against the number, not bad, but they lost big in their bowl game, 42-19 as a 6.5-point dog to Arizona, so no momentum there. Boston College ranked 117th in first downs last year. It's not very good in college football. Here's one stat that stands out for me because I think this line is about right. I don't know what the total will be. They haven't come out yet. But last year on Friday games alone, and most of these games are not the greatest in the world, but home dogs in Friday games last year were just 2-6 straight up, 3-5 against the bookie. So based on that, I guess if I had to, I would probably take Pittsburgh. But for me, it's pretty much a pass. I think the line is right where it has to be.
Okay, this is a Boston College team that also was 7-6 last year, 8-5 over the total, despite a lot of offensive problems. And like Pitt, they have a new quarterback for this season. He is the Florida transfer, Tyler Murphy. And the thing about him is he's not some young freshman or sophomore. The kid is a 22-year-old college graduate already. He did play for Florida part-time last year before injuring his shoulder, threw for 1,200 yards for the Gators, 6 touchdowns. And when we saw it last week against UMass, as Sean mentioned, really wasn't an explosive offensive game. He actually ran for 118 yards, and they got 30 points against a pretty bad UMass team all around. And, Jeff, I wasn't impressed with this BC offense last year, so I'm not surprised that they're a little bit of a home dog here. Who do you think has the edge?
Well, like Sean said, if this game were on Saturday, I'd probably lay off the game. But since it's on Friday, since it's on Friday, we usually want to give out a pick. So Boston College opened at 14.5, moved to 17. They still covered easily, 30-7. If Tyler Murphy can play, it wasn't great, but if he can play this well, they'd probably be happy. He threw for 173 yards. As you said, rushed for 118 yards. Former quarterback Josh Bordner had 81 yards and 4 catches, which is important because they really need some depth at wide receiver. Miles Willis, who has the unenviable job of replacing Andre Williams, has 65 yards and 16 carries. Tyler Rouse, 87 yards, 19 carries. So it's hard to tell against a team like UMass, but they are an FBS team, and Boston College did do a pretty good job there on Saturday. Pittsburgh, of course, another case of playing an FCS team. It's hard to, gauge. Delaware was picked to finish middle of pack in the Colonial Athletic Association. Chad Wojtek, the quarterback, had a good game. 10 of 13, 84 yards, 2 DDs, and about one half a play. Pittsburgh ran 56 times for over 400 yards. James Conner rushed for 153 yards. Panthers averaged 7.3 yards per carry. They held Delaware to 0.9 yards per carry. This year, the defense is a real question mark for Pittsburgh. They've lost, of course, the best player, Aaron Donald. They only returned 5 defensive starters. So, in this game, if I had to pick one, since it's on a Friday, I would lean toward Boston College here, taking the 4 points, but it's not going to be a big play for me, John.
You're going to have to pick one. It is one of the only games in town. I'm going to take a look at the total because I don't like either offense from last year. I mean, this Boston College team somehow had a winning record last year, but they averaged just 367 yards of offense. It was pretty much all running, and they lost their best offensive players. The BC defense is very solid, returning 6 starters. They got a defensive coordinator in Don Brown, who's considered one of the best in the ACC, and they should do very well against the offensive line that has really struggled a lot the last 2 years. So I'm going to look at this as maybe a 20-16 final. I don't care who wins, but I will take the game to be low scoring. And
what do you think the total will be?
It'll be higher than 36.
You think it'll be higher than 36.5?
Yeah. Most definitely. Make it 40. Round it right over.